So, Mother's Day. Coincidentally, and very fortunately, it's my mom's birthday today. Oh, that's awesome. Can we go to the next slide? Well, that's my mom and dad on their wedding day, right? That's how she was. So the story, the legend is, so my mom went to a Christian book center, and my dad walks in, eye to eye, they like each other. And you know what my dad did? He wrote a verse for my mom in a piece of paper, and the one that Kyla read, or Simon read, right? It's about, so when she read it, she knew it was the man, and they got married, and that's why I'm here, all right? So that's my mom, a blessing in my life. I can't tell you how much these two people have carved me and made my presence here, right? So go to the next slide. That's my parents, around 20 years into their wedding, and that's how my mom transformed, right? And if you go to the next slide, unfortunately, I lost my dad. He went to be with the Lord 3 years back, and that's my mom today, okay? She's wearing a sari. That is what our Indian tradition is, and she always wears it. We're praying for her to come here, and when she comes here, I'm going to try and make her wear some of our clothes, okay? I don't know if she's going to do it. One thing about my mom is a prayer warrior, okay? Many people, when I say I'm from India, they say, oh, are there Christians in India? Yes, there are many Christians in India. In our family, we're like generations of Christians. And my mom had one way, right? One thing that I noticed her. I don't know if she does it now, but when we were young, she would put sackcloth and then kneel on it and pray, okay? Now, I'm not saying that that is a special prayer or God looks at that prayer as anything special. All prayers are equal to God. But my mom's philosophy is that humility, right? I want to humble myself. It's not in my comfort that I'm talking to God. I want to, like how God lost or let go of his comfort, walk down, right, for us. I want to also return it back to him. So I always say the three most important women in my life, and I'm being very careful in the order of age, okay, just to let you know. My mom, all right, and the next slide. That's my sister's family. My sister is 4 years elder to me, but she always acted like she was 40 years older to me, okay? My mom always outsourced me to her, and she's like my mom. Her name is Betsy, okay? And that's my sweet two nieces. They are the world to me. That's my wonderful brother-in-law. So my mom, my sister, and my brother-in-law, even though they have their worldly jobs, they're very ministry-oriented. My brother-in-law takes care of the youth, like Pastor Jeremy. And my sister has this burden for upbringing socially, not only saying the gospel. Socially, we should bring up people. You come inside Christ, you have hope, right? So recently she was teaching how to make candles and soaps and all of that for the newly Christians and helping them to have a way of life, okay, earning life and stuff like that. So God bless them. And obviously my third in the list, okay, is that pretty lady sitting over there is my wife, an amazing mother. So I always say that I get a bit romantic during dinner, okay? So last week during the dinner, I said, you know what, Cynthia? If I didn't marry you, I think I'll be sitting in some bar drunk, okay? I don't know why I said that, but thank you. Thanks for her, whatever she's doing as a mother and a wife and all. Now, I'm standing here and talking, so I have this opportunity to talk about the three most important women in my life. But as I'm talking, I know all of you are thinking about the women in your life, the mothers in your life that made a big difference. Is it not? Yes? So, yes, I feel fortunate to be talking about my family, but everybody has special women in their life. So thank you, moms, for everything you do. So, saying that, so today's sermon is, I want to rush through because I don't want to take a lot of time and because we have some lunch and a lot of celebrations all together, right? It's called the 2 A's of godly moms. Okay, the last time I preached the 2 D's of Christian faith. Anybody remembers? Yeah, somebody said decision? Oh, determination. So decision and determination. Okay, you have to decide to follow Christ. But decision is very easy. I can say I'm going to lose weight. Okay, but determination takes you to your goal. So I'm going to talk about the 2 A's of godly moms. And this is how I'm going to frame the sermon today. Okay, so you kind of follow along. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk about the 3 pairs of 2 A's. Okay, already confusing, right? 3 pairs of 2 A's. Okay, so 3 principles. And these 3 principles are very special to me because I learned it from my parents, my mom. Okay? And since I'm saying my mom doesn't mean it's only me, I'm sure you will also relate it to your parents and your moms. Okay? So the way I'm going to factor today's sermon is I will talk about a principle, and I'll talk about a personal incident that influenced this principle, and then I will talk about how Christ or that principle is from Christ. Okay? And then the third most important thing I want to talk about is the deceit that the world does to misunderstand that principle. Okay? So we're going to talk about my personal life, okay? And I'm going to talk about how God or Jesus stood as an example for that principle. And third is how Satan deceives us in that principle. That's the most important part, okay? So I come from a culture where moms are honored a lot, okay? So I'm telling you, in India, you can talk about anything. You can talk wrong about your sports star, your celebrity. People would still hold. But if you talk, or if you even mention mom, they're going to be really angry and they're going to be really angry. The reason is because my culture is built on is built on the fact that mothers are like gods. Okay, so the Hindu religion that you know has they call it Mata, Pita, Guru, and Devam. Okay, it sounds like gibberish to you. Mata is mother. Pita is not pita bread. Pita is your father. Okay, so first is mom. Second is father. You know, third is guru. Guru is your leader or your teacher. And the fourth is Devam, which is God. Okay, so the culture itself says mom, dad, your teacher, and then God. Okay, so when I came to Canada, it was very surprising because my sons were talking about, I'm sorry to say this, but mom jokes, right? And I said, I told my sons, you know what? Don't do this, but don't ever do this in India, okay? They're going to beat the butterflies out of you, okay? So a warning for you all, when you go to India, this is all you do to your mom. That's it, nothing, okay? And don't do mom jokes, okay? That's what we learn. Saying that, let's get into our 2 A's of godly moms. Okay, let's go to the first principle. Okay, the first principle, and I see young people here, it's mainly for you guys, okay? It says acceptance versus agreement. That's something that I learned from my mom, which Jesus taught, and then how there's a deceit going on. Let's look at it. Now, acceptance, agreement. Is there a difference? You install a new software. Some of the software say, accept to continue, right? Some of the software say, agree to continue. It's so much so like the world says accepting an agreement is like almost the same. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? We are sitting here. Now we're all dressed up for Mother's Day and we're all nice looking, right? Let's say a man walks in, shabby clothes, torn clothes, dirty, okay, and smelly. Okay, this person is very smelly. What do we do? Let's make it interactive. Any takers? What do we do? Yes. So we say, come in, sit in the front pew, all right? Because the appearance doesn't matter, okay? But let's say the service is over and all that has happened. What is the other thing that we are going to do as a church? Ask him, how are you doing? After that, we are going to clean him. We are going to make him look better, right? Is that right? We're going to tell him, like, you're welcome. But you know what? Let's make you look better, okay? Let's give you a bath. Let's give you a shave, right? Let's get you new clothes. Why are you wearing torn and shabby and torn clothes, dirty clothes? Right there, this principle applies. The person came in, we accepted with both arms. We didn't have a problem because however he looked, whatever he's done. But we disagreed with his lifestyle or whatever state he was in. So the reason I'm saying that is if you don't know the difference between agreement and acceptance, there is a big problem. Okay? Because acceptance does not automatically entail to be agreement. Because the principle says acceptance is born out of love. You accept because it is love. You don't care who that person is, how that person is, what they are. We accept, like Jesus did. But we don't agree with what the person does. Okay? So as I told you, I'll go with my experience, Jesus' example, and then the deceit. So when I was 14 like you guys, right? In my youth, I was very rebellious, okay? So drugs, smoking, alcohol, girls, none of that, okay? Because my culture is too strict. You know, I actually went beyond my way and did something extremely wrong. Do you know what I did? I went to the movie theater to watch a movie. It is barred in my culture. I can help you, no problem. No problem. Okay? So somehow the Christian culture in my country says you cannot watch movies. And I believe that is so true, right? Today, I believe all the agendas are sent through, this is normalized through these movies. You watch a movie, they put in their agendas, 10 movies you watch, suddenly you feel that it is okay, right? So in my culture, no. So I decided with my friends that let's go to a movie theater and watch. So my parents are in ministry and in leadership, church leadership. My friend who's a reverend's son, okay? And then his friend who is the grandson of a missionary. Okay, we three went, and look how stupid we are, right? We go there, we tell our parents that we're going to a park or a garden. Okay, so the moment we said we are going to the garden, the reverend calls the person in the garden and says, oh, my son and his friends are coming in. Just make sure you treat them right. So that guy is waiting at the gate. But for us, we went to the movie theater, literally handshaking because we're so scared. We're going beyond the principle. So we went in, we sat, I think it's some Brad Pitt movie, some movie that we couldn't even watch, enjoy. 15 minutes we couldn't sit. Okay, we three get out. Okay. And if we were smart, we should have gone to the garden like nothing happened and walked home, right? We ran back home, okay? We went there home, and before we went home, the guy from the garden called and said, your sons didn't come over. And we went there and said, we went to the garden and we were caught. And I still remember, I don't remember what my dad was doing, whether he was there or he went for a conference or anything, but I still remember my mother didn't say a word. She opened the door for me. She allowed me. She served food. Okay, so I ate food. Okay. She made tea for me. I was cold, so she gave me good warm clothing. And she also gave a piece of her mind. Okay, that is separate. But she accepted me, even though I went beyond the principle of what was laid out. But even today, when my mom comes here, you ask her, did John sneak to a theater? Is it okay? She would say no. Even though now back in India, I think going to movie halls and all of that is okay, she would still say, at that time, there was a principle that we had, and you went beyond that. So no is a no. So the reason I'm saying that is we should accept. Okay? Acceptance shouldn't have a problem, irrespective of whatever, race, social status, gender, whatever. Accept people. But can we agree with everything? No. That is what is very important. Now, the example that I want to give from Jesus is, if you go to the next slide, so many examples, right? The prodigal son, one of the examples. When the father was throwing a party, the elder brother came in, and the elder brother says, how can you throw a party like this where I'm here, but he went away, right? He's a prodigal son, right? He's a sinner. And that is exactly what the father said. Did the father say, okay, you know what? You also do this. You also go. I agree with this lifestyle. No. He said, whatever he is, I don't care, but I accept him, even though I don't agree with him. But for me, really what touched me was this beautiful scene that happened in the Bible, right? So if you know the Jewish household, they always have this place to wash their feet. So you cannot walk inside a Jewish household without washing their feet, okay, your feet. Now, when Jesus went in, or if you go in, you should wash, but depending on how special the person is, they will wash the feet. Okay, if I'm very special, I go to a Jewish home, they will wash my feet. So the Bible doesn't say if Jesus' feet was washed or he washed, but I think he washed it himself. He went in. This lady came in with an alabaster jar, a perfume. She didn't stand in front of Jesus eye to eye, face to face. She went to the floor, reached out for his legs, and washed them. And then washed with her hair. And the Bible says she was washing with her tears. Okay? So at that moment, the Pharisee in the house whom Jesus was, he didn't say, the Bible says, if you read Luke 7, he didn't say it out. He thought in his mind, oh, this woman is a sinner, and look, Jesus is still accepting her hospitality. And Jesus said to that Pharisee exactly the same thing, that I don't agree with her lifestyle, right? I don't say that what she is doing is right, but I accept her gift. I accept her. She can touch my feet. She can worship me. That's okay. But I cannot agree with her. Okay? And the same thing happened to the lady who was caught in the act. When she was brought in, I think I've told that before, that, you know why they brought her to Jesus? The lady who was caught in the act, they let the man go away. They brought her because there are only two options. One is, Jesus would say, the law says stone her. Then they can criticize Jesus, saying, oh, you talk about love, you talk about harmony, and you want to stone somebody. Or if Jesus says, oh, out of mercy, let's leave her, then they would say, oh, so I can do anything, and out of mercy, can I do anything? So they wanted to trick Jesus into, somehow into the corner, but not knowing that he is wisdom, right? He's the source of wisdom. And Jesus does this so nicely, right? He says, whoever who do not know sin, throw the first stone. And he did something really crazy. He bent down and he started scribbling on the floor, and everybody walked out. After some time, when Jesus opens, this lady was alone there. For me, I think that was the time Jesus could have said, come on, get baptized. He could have said, become a member of the church, okay? Be my follower. He could have done anything because for her, Jesus saved her life. But you know what Jesus did? You know what Jesus said? Anybody? He said, go, sin no more, because I accept you. And that's why I saved you. But what I don't agree with you is your lifestyle. So don't go sin, okay? That is where you and I can agree in our principle. So always understand that acceptance versus agreement, there's a big difference. So now going to the deceit. Do you know this is the place where you and I are fooled or deceived? The acceptance automatically meets agreement in today's world. Is that right? So Pastor and Brother Chris, they are going to Calgary in a few weeks from now. You know why? Because to decide whether as a church we will allow same-sex marriage. Okay? So, you know what the justification people say? Oh, so you won't accept people with different sexual orientation. Oh, no. We never said. We always accept, come on. We want, but we don't agree with you. Is it wrong to say I don't agree with you? But no. If you accept, you automatically agree. And that's why many of the church's leaders' brains are blinded, because they think if you have to accept, then you have to agree. No. You can accept out of love, but you can disagree out of principle. Okay, that's what Jesus taught. And that's what our parents also did with us. All the things we did, they never kicked us out. Okay? They always accepted. But they always disagreed. All right? And that's the most important principle, especially young people. I'm telling you, you're growing in a society where you're constantly being shoved with this agendas after agendas and agendas. And this is a deceit that you have to be very, very careful. You accept everyone, okay? Young people, accept everyone because Christ loves everyone. That doesn't mean we have to agree, okay? Because we have a principle. Our principle is the Word of God, and we can never, never go against that. All right, one principle in 11:20. Okay, I'll try to rush. Let's go to the next slide. The second pair I want to talk about is autonomy, but with accountability, okay? So this is something that I learned from my dad, okay? So when I say mom and dad, it's both, right? Even though it's mom's Mother's Day. So my father was a very wise man. I mean, the number of things I discussed with him, politics, economy, especially the Bible. I used to discuss a lot with him. And one day, in my discussion, he said, son, do you know you can do anything you want? For a 15-year-old boy, there was nothing cooler to hear from the own dad. The dad says, do anything you want. Do you know, you guys know, that you can do anything you want? You don't remember? You don't agree? Let's go to the Bible. Can we go to the next slide? If you don't agree with me, the Bible says, it says young people, you young people, not old people like us, me. It says, young people, it's wonderful to be young. Enjoy every minute of it. And it also says, do everything you want to do. Just do everything you want to do. The Bible gives you a license to do everything you want to do. Then my dad said, but. Okay, yes, there's a big B-U-T there. It says, remember, you must give account to whatever you do. Okay, so that's the most important thing. So you can do anything you want. I can do anything I want. And that's why if you go to the previous slide, I'm sorry, I wrote this. This is one agenda that is spread all across. It says, I have the freedom to do anything I want. Have you heard that? So my son Abel is here. So when we came here, he was 8 years old, right? So we put him in school. 5 years back, he was in school. In 3 weeks in school, he started telling us, Dad, Mom, you know what, I'm free to do anything. So culturally, educational, curriculum-wise, it is slowly injected. But do you know, having the freedom to do anything you want is actually the opposite of freedom? How many of you know that? I'll give you an example. I have the freedom to do everything. I'm going to lock the door, hold you all hostage. It applies to the principle, right? And I'm going to take all your money. I can do anything I want, right? Is that right? So suddenly you see the agenda that is spread around is, oh, you can do anything, you're free to do, it's a free country, you can do anything. It's actually the opposite of freedom. If everybody does everything they want, then we're going to kill each other. That's how it's going to end. So if you go to the next slide. So autonomy or freedom, it always has to accompany with accountability. If you're not accountable to what you're doing, then your freedom is your enslavement, actually. Okay, that's where your problem is. Look at the Bible. In Genesis, when God created man and woman, he said, do anything you want. Okay? And he also said, not only do anything you want, I won't even be here to look at you, right? Or monitor you. I'll come in the evening and I'll talk to you, but otherwise, the world is yours, the animal kingdom yours, land yours, name the animal, take the fruit, all but the accountability is, do not eat the fruit of knowledge and the fruit of tree of life. So always look at the Bible you'll read. You'll read that God always gives you the freedom. Do anything you want. But you have to be accountable to your actions. Which brings me to the fact that autonomy or freedom comes with repercussions. Right? Every action has its repercussions. Newton's second law. Okay? Every action has its opposite reaction. All right? You throw a ball to the wall, it comes back. So if every action has an equal repercussion, freedom also has repercussions. So whether it's positive, whether it's building, whether it's beneficial, depends on the person who exercises it. Okay? So young people, you have the freedom, right? You have the freedom in your hands, but you can use it for anything. But your accountability depends on the repercussions. Okay? I can set up my own company. Yes. I can hire people. I can make a good business. I can pay salaries or bring the society up. No problem in Canada, right? But let's say that I start flouting the rules. I start having quality issues and all of that. I will have repercussions, okay? So freedom to do everything comes with a caveat. And the caveat is that you'll have to be accountable, okay? So our parents, that's what they do. My parents did that. Here, if you want money, here. If you want a bike, I'll get you a bike. If you want a car, yes, we'll get you a car. You want to do university? Here. Everything is given, but with accountability. So who has to have the accountability? The person who receives it. If you demand freedom, then you also have to hold yourself accountable. But what's the deceit now? What's the deceit? Slowly but subtly, the word accountability is masked or hidden in today's world. Today, everywhere you go, there is this big chant. It's my body, my life, my money. I can do anything. Have you seen that? It all stems from this principle that God put for us. But only half of it is told to you and me. Okay? Only half. You can do anything. So what? I can substance abuse, right? Teenage pregnancies, alcohol, bad, you can do everything, right? But if you show the other half of it, that's where whatever your freedom will make sense. Okay? So again, please understand that your autonomy, your freedom, comes with accountability. Okay? All right. The second principle we saw. All right, the third one, which I love the most. Can you go to the third one, Christian? Slides. Yes. Okay. The third two-way principle that I want to talk about is adoration and admonishment. Okay? How many of you know the word admonishment? Okay, so yeah? You know? You want to say what it is? No. Okay. All right. So admonishment is a loving reprimand to someone. Okay, so if a person on the street, a stranger, is doing something unacceptable, you go warn them. Okay? You're angry with them. You warn them. But if somebody you love does something wrong or they're going away from what they're supposed to do, you don't warn them, you admonish them because you care. So when you're warning somebody with the substance or with the addition of love and care, that is called admonishment. Now I want to talk about adoration and admonishment. Okay? Now again, my life. I'm trying hard for my mom to get the visa. Please keep her in your prayers. But when she comes here, just talk about me to her. Okay? Oh, my son. Oh, you should have seen the way he played pianos. Okay? Oh, the great. People who don't know me, who hear only about me from my mom, would think I'm like some superstar. Okay? So much adoration. Oh, my son. You should have seen the way he preaches. Oh, you should have seen the way he does this, that. Your mom does too, right? All of our moms are like, for some reason, they adore their kids. For them, their kid is the best. However lousy they are. They love their kids. In my life, my mom, sometimes it's very embarrassing for me. She goes and says, oh, my son is this, my son is that. No, all of that. But the same mom, okay? I'm telling you, I was born in an Indian culture where spanking is okay. Yes, I was royally spanked sometimes because I was not an easy child to bring up with, okay? My family is here, they know. But then, the admonishment, the things that she said that I don't have to, or the warning that she gave, is born out of love because she adores, and at the same time, she can admonish me. And that is where her love comes out, okay? She's not just adoration. Adoration is more like buttering. I don't know buttering, right? You want to get a promotion, you go to your boss and say, oh, you look good, oh, you're great, and all of that. And that's not what moms do. They love you, they adore you, but they equally admonish you, all right? If you go to the next slide, the principle from God is that, this one, when I read this, Matthew 16, now Jesus is going to be crucified, so he took everybody, his disciples, and he's saying, who do you think people tell I am, all right? And then he put the question across, and all the disciples are scratching their head and all of that, right? Peter comes in and says, you know what? You are the Son of God. He just blurted out that. And you would see how Jesus adores Simon Peter at that time. He says, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for it is not flesh and blood that has revealed to you. And he also said, you know what? I give you the keys to heaven. Okay, so he adores. He loves him. And Peter is like now cloud nine, right? He's like, oh, God recognized me. 2 minutes later, just 2 minutes later, after appreciating and adoring Peter, Jesus starts talking about his death. And Peter, like a wise guy, went and said, Jesus, don't talk about like this and all. And you know what Jesus said 10 verses later? He said, get behind me, you Satan. Okay. I was like, my God, 2 minutes before, Jesus adored, oh my God, Simon Peter, here is the key to heaven. Right? And then just 2 minutes later, with the same mouth, Jesus yelled at him. Can you believe Jesus yelled at him? Okay? And that's what admonishment is. And why is it so important? Because if you go back to the previous slide, under adoration and admonishment, I put this term, it's okay. It's okay, right? Do you know, in my mother tongue, there is no translation for it's okay. If I ask my friends who are from my community, there's no word for it's okay. But how many times we hear this word here, it's like, it's okay, it's okay. So it happens in my house all the time, okay? So my sons play football in the living room. Okay, they kick the ball and they play. So I tell them that, no, you're not supposed to do it. Will they obey? No, right? They do that. My question is, now these kids playing in the house, they launch the ball into the TV and the TV is broken, $1,000 TV, okay, it's broken. And do you know the culture today? It's like you always go, oh, nice to your kids, right? So I was hearing somebody speak that every generation from the past 4 generations, the level of being strict, the strictness factor has been reduced such that the current generation, they don't even yell, they don't even say a strong word, okay? So if I go to my son and say, do you think what you did was okay? Don't you think it made daddy feel bad? And if I say, it's okay, it's okay, what do you think is going to happen? My son, who thought, my God, I'm going to be royally dealt with, suddenly he's like, what? Is that all? I irresponsibly play football even after my dad told me. I break the TV and all I hear is it's okay. Do you know, today, the rising number of anxiety and depression disorders is because we are not building strong children. Do you know that? At home, children are cajoled. Oh my God. Sweetheart, honey, I agree, yes, you should. Don't worry, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So children grow up with the feeling that, oh, it's okay. The society is okay, everything is okay. The first day goes to university and the professor throws a challenge. Crying, mom, dad, because at home, they were not built strong, okay? I'm not saying be rude. I'm not saying, spank and all of that. That's up to you. Parenting style is up to you. But if you stop with adoration, you're spoiling the generation. We're creating a weak generation ahead, who's very weak, who in the next small challenge, they're going to fall. And some of you know that I'm a teacher, right? So I'm a teacher, and I hear it from my students all the time. The words like pressure, stress, anxiety. And my school, it's completely online. So the students don't have to come to school. So no getting up early, no dressing up, no taking a car or a SkyTrain and all of that. So you wake up, you open your laptop, you attend a class. But, stress. Oh my God, you don't know, professor. I'm struggling. My question is, what is making you struggle? Your parents paid for your fee, right? They pay for your rent. And you sitting in your bed and attending your school. Where is the stress coming from? Have you not been on Instagram in the past 24 hours? Have you not watched videos? Have you not watched Netflix? All of that is there when it comes to challenges, because Netflix is very easy. You sit there, watch, it's so fun. Swiping the Instagram reel is very easy. But research, your teacher says, go research how the airplane flies. Oh, stress, stress, stress. Because I cannot concentrate. Oh, stress. Because we are building a generation without admonishment. We are building a very, very, very comfortable generation, providing everything. Oh, it's okay, honey, everything okay. And then we put them into the world where it's just the opposite. It's horrible. They're not able to hold. Okay? So it is a message not only to the young people, but also to us parents, that we step up and we say no is a no, wrong is wrong, and that's it. No more compromises. And it's not okay. I keep telling Abel and Aaron that. No, it's not okay. No. And I keep, the response they give is, why are you like this? Why are you like this? I'm like, because I want to build you guys tough. When you go to the world, when there's no dad or mom, you have to stand against the world and be successful. All right, so I just want to give a nice review to what it is, and I want to build the premise on what all I did, or what all I spoke. The first one, the first 2A principle is, I forgot. Acceptance versus agreement, okay? Acceptance does not automatically entail agreement. Acceptance is out of love. Agreement is out of principle. You can love people, accept them. You need not agree. You can disagree because of your principle. And that's what our mothers did, our fathers did. That's why we are here today. Second one, autonomy with accountability. You can do anything you want, but you have to be accountable for your repercussions. Okay, that's what Jesus did, that's what God did, that's what our parents do. So kids, always use your freedom, okay, with that caveat in mind. And the third one is adoration with admonishment. You can love, you can adore, but when it comes to being strong, making them strong, make them strong, okay? Now I want to finish off with this premise on where I built this is, sometimes we Christians have this feeling that my parents are just the biological medium in which I came to the world, okay? I'll tell you why, because there are many people who say, I have a father in heaven, okay? So my parents are just for temporary, momentary. In my infinite lifetime with God, my parents are only momentary. That's wrong, okay? This is what I've realized, that parents, I'm going to say it, are a representation of God in our lives. Just please understand that your parents are the literal representation of God in our lives. God doesn't have a figure, God the Father. He's too powerful that we cannot see him. All right? Jesus came in the human body, but he went up. He sent the Spirit whom we cannot see. But if God wants to talk to you, if God wants to show his principles, make you a better person, your parents are a representation of God. Okay? So that's why all the principles that we learned today, okay, what Jesus showed in the Bible is exactly being practiced by our parents. Okay? And that's exactly why we should be thanking our moms and our fathers. That thank you that you're not only my dad and mom, but you also represent God himself. And I learn from you.